This portion of JD Sports, we talk about the I'm Just Saying. I started off 2 weeks ago, you started off last week, so I'll take it away this first week.
Hey, have at it, man.
Okay.
This is turning into my favorite segment.
Well, I'm Just Saying this week. Now, everyone gets on Joe Flacco. Everybody, listen, Ravens fans, a lot of Ravens fans don't like Joe Flacco. They think his contract was too big, which I think the situation they're in is part of the reason with his contract. But at the same time, he's had 4 different coordinators in 4 different years. They broke it down really well before the Monday night game about how the simple play call or a different, close to the same name kind of play call where a wide receiver is just running a different pattern. It's easy for a quarterback in the NFL to get confused because of how similar most of these playbooks are, and they're not just going to bring in a complete brand new system for him. So if they're all running the West Coast system, the language is going to be similar and the routes are going to be similar, but you might be thinking this certain route is a different route because you said the same word last year. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
They're saying it's a little more difficult what he's going through than what most quarterbacks at an elite level go through. A lot of people don't think he's elite. I think that's crazy. I think he is elite. Each and every week, he has his team going down the field in the fourth quarter to maybe come back. I understand that it doesn't happen every week, and you have situations like this week where he throws an interception. But
it's going to happen.
3 plays before that, the same exact thing happened where Arizona all-out blitz, and he hit the same receiver for a 30-yard gain and put him in that position. What happened on that play? He just threw it up. I understand. It happens. And yes, that play is on Joe Flacco. But overall, the entire game, he was carrying that team, and he was the reason that their offense was in the position they were in. And each and every single week, he's the reason they are, and he's the reason that they aren't getting blown out. In my eyes, I don't think they have a ton of talent around them. Their offensive line isn't great. No. I'm just saying, to me, it's crazy that people don't think that Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback, and to me, it's crazy that people talk about that he's trash or that he's the reason that they're in this situation, because it couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm just saying, if Ravens fans want to switch quarterbacks, as much as I believe that Bradford can turn it around, I will take Flacco any day of the week.
Well, if you're going to make that comparison, I can.
No, but it's not even just that comparison. That's my point.
I understand.
If you talk to Ravens fans, you would think that I used to live in Ocean City, Maryland, and I have a decent amount of friends that are Ravens fans. You would think that Joe Flacco is Sam Bradford right now. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm just saying, I think that Joe Flacco is, I honestly do think you could put him in a top 5 category. People are going to argue that all day, and I understand that people will. But just to me, watching him and putting his team in the situations that he's put them in, his whole career. I mean, he hasn't missed the playoffs once in his whole career. It's just, it's astonishing to me. I'm just saying, Joe Flacco is way better than anybody gives him credit for.
I hear you. I mean, I won't necessarily say he's elite. I can't argue. I have no argument against it. I won't say he's elite.
You're one of the few people that I've had the conversation in front of that haven't tried to argue with me that he's like at least maybe in the class, because most people just absolutely disagree with me.
I don't.
He's right there, man.
Yeah, I feel like he's a very good quarterback. Yeah. Can I say, I won't say he's elite, but he is a very good quarterback.
Right.
I think
it's hard to say with their record this year that he's elite. And I understand that.
He kind of gets the Eli Manning treatment.
But nothing, I understand that. But I think, and I honestly think that overall throughout their careers, while Manning's going to have the 2 Super Bowls, if you take their numbers, Joe Flacco's going to be way better.
I would take Joe Flacco over
You might be able to argue with basically the same talent around them, and Flacco might just not have had the same amount of nice running backs. Ray Rice was a really good running back at the time.
But he had a defense.
And he had a really good defense. But he started falling off there before all the issues with Ray Rice at the end. But that's why I'm just saying, Dwight. That was my I'm just saying. You got an I'm just saying this week?
Oh, absolutely. I always got I'm just saying. I always got a lot to say, right? I'm the guy that I just talk. I got everything to say. My I'm just saying this week kind of ties into the whole Greg Hardy thing. We touched base on it a little bit earlier. Yep. But I kind of want to expand this whole idea a little bit further as far as the Greg Hardys of the world, the Des Bryants of the world, the whole passion and energy thing. Yeah. I'm reading a lot of comments and listening to a lot of people and their feedback of how Greg Hardy handled it. And like I said, it's not just him and how he handled it, but it's the whole ideal in general of being riled up and being fired up. That people seem to have an issue with players that are, this fired up, this rowdy side to them. I feel like we need to come to a realization of what we are watching. We're watching sports. We're watching football, whether it's basketball, baseball, or hockey. from my perspective, I want somebody on my team that's going to have this fire. I want somebody on my team that's going to have an edge to them. I want a Greg Hardy of the world. I want a Des Bryant. I want a Matt Barnes on my basketball team. Yeah. I want a Meta World Peace. I want somebody that not necessarily is going to start something and get into a fight. We don't want that. That's not necessary. Right. But what I want is somebody that's willing to get in a teammate's face, call them out when they're playing horribly, and, because some people just need that extra motivation. Not everybody is going to, respond to, well, can you please do a little bit better? Right. Not everybody responds to that. Some people need that push that a Kobe Bryant's going to come and get in your face and say, you know what are you doing? Do some work. You're failing right now, and the team is failing and losing because of you. I like that edge. So I'm just saying is that we need, as a society, I understand the world that we currently live in, and I understand that people don't want athletes and their role models to act a certain way. Yep. But I also understand that I'm watching a pro sport and I need somebody that's going to react the same way that I'm reacting at home, which is what's going on, why are you playing this way, we needed to get it together, so what the hell are you doing, get it right. That's I'm just saying.
Well, what I would say to that is in the 90s when Michael Irving was doing it, it was fire and passion. And right now, when Greg Hardy's doing it, it's the exact opposite. Now,
you took it that way.
But now, at the same time, Greg Hardy he's put his hand. I didn't like the way that Greg Hardy went about it. I'm not disagreeing. No. We talked about that in particular situation, and I'm not disagreeing with what you said overall with the Meta World Pieces and all that, because, and I think if you're really talking about Dallas, I mean, they have so many other guys who are on the flip end of that like, and even their coaching staff, I don't know what their assistant coaches are like, but you see Jason Garrett, he's not going to be screaming in someone's face the way Greg Hardy or Brian does. No. So the fact that you have two guys on the team like that, it's not necessarily a horrible thing, like you said, because you have coaches that will do things like that. Right. He's just not one of them.
And you know what? I was also reading online and listening to people. People were saying, and you touch based on it. When Tom Brady does this, it's passion, it's energy. Look at him fired up. He's getting the guys fired up. But when the Des Bryant does, let's take Greg Hardy out of the equation. Yeah. But in saying that, I also heard people saying, well, if Des Bryant is the one over there correcting Greg Hardy, then that says a whole lot about your team. What the hell are you talking about? Because he has that edge, that fire, and that passion, he's caused no issues on Dallas, on or off the field, since he's been there. Number one.
Listen, I hate it, but I'm a Des supporter.
He has that old school mindset, and so do I. That sometimes you just gotta be real and get in somebody's face and tell them what it is, and come at him. We're so sensitive as a society, and we expect our sports to be the same way when we're not that way when we're watching the damn game.
Brian Dawkins flipping out, screaming, like his arms flailing. He's basically like worming his way from the tunnel to the 50-yard line. That's passion and good craziness, but Des Bryant screaming and yelling is bad craziness. I don't understand people's rationale on that. I'm 100% with you.
Pick and choose.
And like we said, the Greg Hardy situation, he's an individual, and like if this was Ocho Cinco doing this, we would be saying different things. Right, exactly. We'd be laughing. But at the same time, Ocho Cinco's not going to put two hands on his coordinator, and he's not going to be spitting and screaming in his players' faces.
There is that fine line, and I get that. So maybe so take
like we said, Greg Hardy is a different case.
Take him out.
But if you're talking about Des Bryant, Meta World Peace,
we don't even have to take Greg Hardy out of the equation because you ignore that little physical thing that went on. No, I feel like he was in the right and getting fired up and I like that he got
where he was coming.
I was cool with it.
Where he was coming from is what you like.
Yes, it's. His execution was poor.
Let's not cross the line. But the idea of what you want Greg Hardy to do in that situation was there. Though.
If you don't have those type of players on any, I don't care what sport it is, then you're not. Then you have nothing, in my opinion, because you need that edge to be great and to win championships or titles or rings, whatever you want to call it. You're not. You need those guys that are going to fire you up.
As much as I'm like always. Not on the edge about it because you have guys like Greg Hardy that's where I find the issues to be. But on the flip end of it, Michael Jordan was the king at doing that. Kobe Bryant.
Kobe's the same way.
Right, and
now they're getting on Kobe.
But I love that they do it. So that's why I'm more open-minded to, like you said about the Des Bryants and the Meta World Pieces and guys with a little more of an edge. If there's a right way to go about it, and if you go about it the right way, I love it, and I would love those players on my team as well. But the flip end of that, like we said, if Greg Hardy's the one doing it, it's not as fun and it's not as good.
I'm just saying we need to stop. I get it, our society is very sensitive right now, but from a sporting perspective, fans need to stop pretending that they're not acting the same way, freaking out when things go wrong. So I'm just saying.
Not just that, yeah, you're absolutely right, because everybody's not just screaming at their TV, but even more, A, these players have a little more invested in that game than we do while we're screaming at the TV.
Absolutely.
And B, I mean, I don't have as much testosterone in my body as these guys.
No.
Like, these guys they're so fired up, and that's a whole different mentality. They're screaming and yelling at each other from 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that by the time 4 o'clock rolls around and Greg Hardy's getting in people's faces because he's irritated, you know, I mean,
it's going to happen.
Right, exactly. And it might happen more than we think it happens behind the scenes.
It absolutely does.
Probably.
So I'm just saying, get over it.
Yep. Locker room fights like Geno Smith usually don't come out into the unless there's a broken jaw involved. Usually don't come out, but there's locker room fights. I mean, these things happen all the time. Yeah, I'm with you. This was JD Sports. Thank you for watching. I'm Jarrett Hood. This is Dwight Garfield. You can find our Twitters on the show's Twitter, which is @_JD Sports. Everything else is in the YouTube page below. Thank you for watching.
Peace out.